want you to be comfortable while you're listening to these remarks. Mr. Gaskins, the jury is back with you, sir.
Thank you, Bob. Let me clear up one thing. I think I may have confused the telephone numbers that were being used. The number that Grant was using when he was talking to Laura and that he had on July 13th was ended with 7651. The number that belonged to Amanda ended with 8581, and that's the one that wasn't turned back on until 10:23 on Thursday night, something like that. Am I getting it right? I hope I am. I may have some confusion. If I do, I apologize. Where I left off was they arrived, Amanda, Grant, and the children arrive in Texas on Monday morning. They're pulling the U-Haul trailer. Amanda knows that the piece of furniture that she's going to deliver to Karen is in the U-Haul trailer, but she does not know that Grant has concealed Laura's body in the back of the U-Haul trailer behind the piece of furniture. So when they arrive in Texas, what Amanda believes is that Laura has recovered from her injury after having fallen at the apartment. And according to Grant, it hadn't been necessary to call EMS after all, and that Laura had returned home. So the entire period of time between when Amanda arrived back home that Wednesday night until Monday night when she sees Grant in the yard, she believes that Laura is safely back in Kinston. She doesn't know that Grant has concealed her body in the back of the trailer. He's concealed everything that he's done from Amanda. She arrives in Texas happy, content to see her sister, without any hint whatever that Grant has killed Laura. She sees Grant in the yard that night smoking and goes out, and then he tells her, "What would you say if I told you that Laura's body was in the back of the trailer, that she had died accidentally when she fell in the apartment?" And Amanda basically just goes berserk. "What do you mean? What are you trying to tell me? What has happened here? Why didn't you call the police? Why are you in this situation?" And what he tells her is that you're going to have to get your sister to help me dispose of her body. Your sister isn't going to agree for me, a black man that she doesn't even know, to help dispose of the body of a white woman. So what you've got to do is to tell her that you knocked Laura down and that she died accidentally when she fell. That way, she'll go along with the plan to dispose of her body. It's the only way that she'll agree to help. And if you don't do it, then none of us are getting out of this alive. And if I can't get it done, I can get it done with one telephone call. He gets the machete out of the U-Haul trailer and he slaps her across the leg. Now, Mr. Zellinger somehow gathered from that he had cut Amanda across the leg. We've never said that. He whacked her across the leg with the side of the machete. Slapped her was probably a better word to use, but the term I used was whack. But by that, Amanda told you what happened. He whacked her on the leg with the machete. The next morning, Amanda tells her sister, "I've got something important to talk to you about." And she tells her just what Grant has told her to say, that I'm the one that knocked Laura down. It was an accident, but she died in the fall, and she's here in the back of the trailer. And after that, you've heard the testimony that Amanda did help dispose of Laura's body in the creek, but throughout the time that she was with Grant, he had the machete and had become very controlling and very manipulative. He told her that this is not the time to be challenging me. The next morning, after the body is disposed of in the creek, Karen, her sister, sits her down, and what you heard her say was that I talked to her just like I did when she was a child. Told her, Amanda, this is the one and only chance you get to tell me the truth. I want you to, she looked her right straight in the eye and asked her, are you covering for Grant? And Amanda nodded her head affirmatively, indicating that she was, in fact, covering for Grant. After that, they leave, heading back to North Carolina. Let me mention one thing before they leave. You see the photograph of her on the iPod, how happy she was with Karen and the baby on Monday. On Tuesday, you also saw a photograph of her at the ATM machine where she was withdrawing cash for Grant. And the difference between those two photographs is absolutely remarkable. On Wednesday morning, Monday, she's happy, everything's fine. When she's the next day at the Bank of America ATM machine, she's looking absolutely haggard. Another photograph was taken on the way back. Again, she's looking haggard. Now, they get back, she's arrested, I think on July 25th. You can ask for the photograph itself, but this is how Amanda appeared on July 25th, on the day that she was arrested. She's not even recognizable as the person that you see here today, or the person that you saw on the photograph on the iPod in Texas on that Monday. Now, you have heard Amanda testify. She's told you what happened. She's told you about the fall at the apartment the night that Laura wanted to hold Lily, that Grant had pulled Laura backwards and had fallen backwards over the chair, that she went to the Chick-fil-A so that Grant could call the EMS, that when she got back, that Grant told her that Laura was fine, she had recovered from the fall, and she had gone home. Everything that Grant did after that, he concealed from Amanda completely and totally. He did not tell her that Laura was in the back of the trailer until that Monday night in Texas, and was then that he told her that this is the story that you've got to tell if we're going to get any help from your sister with me disposing of this body. Now, you saw and observed Amanda during her testimony. You heard her tell the story of how Laura had fallen accidentally and been injured. You know that the injury was consistent with a fall, according to both, not just Dr. Mambo, but also Dr. Radish, the chief medical examiner from North Carolina, also indicated that that was the kind of injury that you would expect to see in a fall of that nature. Amanda never knew that Laura had died until Grant told her that she had died in a fall at the apartment on that Wednesday night. She didn't know it until he told her in Texas. You've seen her demeanor, you've listened to her testimony, and you are the judges of her credibility. But I suggest to you that she was absolutely, totally, 100% credible in everything that she said. After Amanda testified, the state had a little moment of panic. Things had fallen apart on them. They knew that. Who is their next witness in rebuttal? Patricia Barracat. woman who has stolen $100,000 from Lowe's and has been charged with a Class C embezzlement that carries a minimum of 5 years in prison and 8 counts of obtaining property by false pretense. But she tells you, I'm here as a good Samaritan because I want to do the right thing. What Patricia Bearcat was doing was trying to work a deal, and it succeeded, to get out of jail not only herself, but also her daughter. Charges against her daughter were dismissed entirely, and the charges against Patricia Bearcat were reduced to credit for time served. She said all kinds of wild things, like Amanda said she was going to throw her out of an airplane, that Laura told her she was going to kidnap Lily. There's only one thing that came out of Patricia Bearcat that rings of the truth, and that is that Amanda told her that it was an accident and it wasn't supposed to happen that way. Everything else she tried to put together from news reports, from people that she had talked to in the jail, and from having watched Grant Hayes' trial. And she wasn't able to put much of it together at all. Another point that the state has made is that our investigator, Randy Miller, went to the Walmart at Briars Creek after the manual for the skill saw was located at the apartment. That skill saw manual, you'll recall, was pointed out to the Raleigh police during a search that occurred on August the 2nd, 2011, after Laura's dismembered remains had already been found in Texas. At that point, nobody knew that Laura had been dismembered. Once we found out that she had been dismembered and that there was a skill saw manual in the apartment, we did the same thing that the Raleigh police did. We started making phone calls. Who sells this model chainsaw? You call Home Depot, you call Lowe's, and where do you find the saw is sold? There's only one place in Raleigh that sells them, and that's the Walmart at Briar Creek. So Randy Miller goes to the Walmart trying to determine what Grant has done and what the nature of that purchase was. He just happened to get there before the Raleigh Police Department got there. They did the same thing that we did. They just happened to do it a few days later. Randy Miller wasn't able to get the videotape. When the Raleigh police got there, they were able to get the videotape of him actually buying the skill saw. So their implication is that somehow Amanda had information, inside information, that there had been a dismemberment, when all of the information about the dismemberment came from the news media. The information about the skill saw came from the apartment when Shay was the one who pointed it out to the Raleigh Police Department. So then we track it down and we get some information about them selling skill saws at the Walmart, but not the video. So if there's any implication by our having gotten to the Walmart before they did, we didn't get there until after August the 2nd, when the skill saw manual had been found. Let me talk for a moment about Patsy Hayes. Patsy, Grant Hayes' mother, has custody of Lily. She testified on Friday that after she heard the news reports and had heard that Amanda had said something bad about her son, Grant Hayes, that she wanted to come to Raleigh and tell the jury that Amanda had written her letters in which she professed her love for Grant Hayes. Bear in mind why she's doing that. Ms. Patsy Hayes has custody of her daughter Lily. She's constantly asking in those letters, can you send me pictures of Lily? Can you send me pictures of the boys? If she writes in the first letter that, by the way, I think your son is a pathological killer, she is never, ever going to hear from Patsy Hayes again. What Patsy Hayes did when she came here Friday was the result of having heard on the news that Amanda had said something bad about Grant, and she came here to deliver the message, Amanda, you're right. You will never see Lily again. I have Lily. You have bad-mouthed Grant. Don't think for a second that you or anybody in your family will ever see her again. Here, the letters, bear in mind, were written to Patsy Hayes. They weren't letters written to Grant. The state has produced no letters written from Amanda to Grant. We, on the other hand, have produced the letter that Grant wrote to Amanda. I'm going to read only short portions of it. Judge Stevens has advised me my time is running short, so I'll only read part of this. But here is the way the letter that Grant wrote to Amanda reads. I got one question. What's the hair decision? Cornrow or ponytail? You going to pull a Stevie Nicks in there and bring back the 80s, or take the Spike Lee right and do the right thing? Remember, you are friends, bitch, or else I'm coming after your ass sideways, karate style, make you wish you stayed in jail. Not. But the broader you that no name or birthday has unlimited, restricted access to the elements of that time-space. So keep that mother on the goddamn clock with magic pen and paper, or so help me Buddha, you will never eat another snail again. Jesus fucking Christ. Somebody called this lady a car. A wise man once said, oh, I used to think I knew. So make the most of it. You have an awesome, I'm sorry, I can't read that word. Always the goddamn spectacle. Next life, we're sticking you in the Alps with an inbred farmer and a three-legged dog. That's what Grant Hayes is telling Amanda. Amanda is trying to maintain whatever contact she can with her child, with Lily, and with the boys through Patsy Hayes. But that's what Grant's response to her is. You keep your mouth shut about me, or you're not going to live to tell about it. Now, ladies and gentlemen, the state, as I indicated earlier, is required to prove its case beyond a reasonable doubt. It must prove every element of its case beyond a reasonable doubt. The state has absolutely failed to prove to you by any doubt whatever, by reasonable doubt or anything else in the world, that Amanda participated in killing Laura. That just didn't happen. As I indicated in my opening statement, that has never been on the table. The real issue here for you is whether or not she voluntarily participated in disposing of Laura's body. Now, what the state has done is charge her with one offense that carries life in prison without parole, but they've charged her with the second offense in the same breath with being an accessory after the fact, which carries up to 10 years in prison. The hope is that you will compromise. They are looking for a compromise verdict. They know you're not going to find her guilty of first-degree murder. They know that that was never on the table. But by charging her with the more serious offense, what they're hoping is that you will compromise and give them something. Ladies and gentlemen, don't fall for it. It's a trick. We're asking that you find her not guilty on both charges. As to the charge of accessory after the fact of murder, we contend to you two things. Take first-degree murder off the table, examine all the evidence, examine it carefully, but it's not there. The state has not proven that case to you. What they have opened up for your debate is whether she is innocent or guilty of being an accessory after the fact of murder for having helped Grant dispose of Laura's body in the creek. They must prove to you we have raised the defense of duress. We contend to you that she acted only because of duress, coercion, and the threats that Grant made to her while they were in Texas. He had the machete. He told her that none of us are making it out of here alive unless you help me do this. The second issue that you must decide on the charge of accessory after the fact of murder is whether at the time that Amanda helped Grant to dispose of Laura's body, did she know, that's one of the elements of the offense of accessory after the fact, is that she had to know when she did that Grant Hayes had in fact murdered Laura. Not that Laura had died in an accidental fall. They must prove that Amanda knew that Grant had committed the crime of murder in order for her to be an accessory after the fact. So there are two issues that you will need to discuss as you discuss the accessory after the fact. Number one, did she act because she had been threatened? Was she in fear of her own safety and the safety of her children? Not just little Grant and Gentle and Lily, but also Shay. Shay is out there too. And what Grant has told her is that if you don't help me, I can get it. If I can't get it done myself, I can get it done with one telephone call. So you have to decide, did she act under duress? And if she did, then she is not guilty of accessory after the fact. Likewise, the state must prove to you that she knew at the time that Grant had actually committed a murder. She never knew that until after she was arrested. She thought that Laura had died in an accident. That's the one thing that both she and Patricia Barracat agree on, is that Laura had fallen over the chair and that it was an accident, that it wasn't intended to happen that way. Ladies and gentlemen, you've heard a lot of testimony. What I ask is that you examine the evidence from the beginning through the end. Don't start in the middle, don't start at the end. Start at the first and work your way forward. You will conclude, I believe, that the state has not proven to you beyond a reasonable doubt that Amanda either killed Laura or helped Grant to kill Laura. He did it himself. He did it acting alone. And he concealed everything about it from Amanda until they arrived in Texas, and he told her that her body was in the back of the trailer. He didn't say concealed by the furniture, but it was concealed by the furniture. And what Amanda knew was in the trailer was the furniture. She had absolutely no information whatever that Laura's body was in the back of the trailer, hidden by the two pieces of the hutch. After you have made your decision on the charge of first-degree murder, you will move on to the charge of accessory after the fact of murder. That's when you must discuss and determine whether Amanda acted under duress or threat to either her or any of her family members, or whether, on the other hand, also, did she know at that time that Grant had in fact killed Laura and that she hadn't died in an accident. Ladies and gentlemen, the evidence does not support a verdict of guilty on either charge. I ask that you examine this evidence carefully. If you want, and I suggest that you request that any of these documents or pieces of evidence that you want to review be brought to the jury room in order that you can do that in your own environment, that you ask that they be brought back there. Examine all of these things carefully. We've heard a lot. Start at the beginning, go to the end. Examine every piece carefully. I suggest that you will conclude that the state has failed to prove its case beyond a reasonable doubt as to either charge. Don't go back there and compromise solely for the state's sake of giving the state something for their efforts. Find her not guilty on both charges. Thank you for listening to me.
All right, thank you.